Friends, welcome to this webinar on passing the CPSM exam 2. Now, this webinar is much different than what we had done in the past. In the past, what we had done, we used to focus a lot about practical tips only. But this time, I'm going to focus a lot about the concept part. The way I understand around, if you have understood the concept of each and every task and chapters, I think passing the exam much easier. Now, the objectives what we kept for today, without getting into much details, is to learn to develop your strategy to study, prepare, and appear for the CPSM exam. Let me also take 1 minute for this, how to introducing the ISM. ISM was set up in 1915, as you know, most of you. The mission is to lead the supply management profession through standard of excellence, research, and promotional activity. With the above mission in mind, ISM developed a qualification called CPSM. Now, CPSM meets the need of the market and is a rigorous qualification. You might have seen who had done already attempted exam 1 or other exams. This is certainly a rigorous, require a lot of preparations. Now, the path to success, there is no shortcut. Let me put this way also. We normally tell people that first you should try to assess your current knowledge. For assessing purpose, you have to go through the diagnostic kit. Try to know which are the areas which you need to put more efforts around. And those areas, then you could focus a lot. Second is obviously to study, where once you know your strength and weakness, you can study for success. And lastly is practice. I would say for any exams before you go for exam 2 or 1 or 3, you need to practice 3 to 4 times on the diagnostic kit. Those who are members, they can also do the mock-up test through our online system. Now, passing the exams, practical tips, before I jump into the details, first thing is don't panic. I know that till last minute people are feeling that I'm not prepared for this. Whatever you learned that is good enough. But the main focus should be to understand the material and the concepts. Cramming the books will not help you. If anybody has crammed, don't expect the person will pass until you are able to correlate each and every chapter with your day-to-day working life. If you're reading something on any chapter, whether on logistics, whether on inventory management, try to correlate with your day-to-day life. Second is flagging the question. Exam taking is also a strategy, I would call it on. Sometimes people start, the first question by mistake comes a very difficult question. You start struggling with the question, you start fighting with the questions. And by the time your morale goes down. So in spite of all the preparations, you come with a bad score. So my request to you will be that you start with this, but when you find question is difficult, flag the questions and you can always review them back once you've finished it. So like this, I think the chances of success will go up. The third thing which I want to talk about is preparing the flashcards. You may call summary notes. You may all recall in our college time how we used to study. And this is where I'm going to focus a lot in my presentation today. If you go back to your college time, whenever you used to study any chapters, any books, we used to underline some of the points around. We used to highlight them. Highlight them with the yellow markers, with the blue markers, or the pink markers. So this is the same thing I'm going to do today with you guys. So use different colors such as yellow, very important parts, blue for some catchy phrase, some definition comes up, you put up a pink mark. So those possibly, when you're going for exams 1 or 2 days before, this flashcard can help you. And my today whole presentation is all about flashcards. So each chapter by chapter, I'll be walking through you with the flashcard. Now, theory versus practice. Now, as I said in the beginning also, you have to understand the application of theory. This covers wide range of tasks, wide range of modules. So you have to link each and every chapter, whatever you study, with your actual practice around. Lastly, but not the least, which is very important, and this is where many people suffer. They've done a lot of preparations, but they struggle with how to manage the time. Now, the managing the time, I could say that you get on average 1 minute per question. So you have to be very careful not to struggle too much. Normally you will find in each question there are 4 choices. 2 I would call as obviously incorrect. You will know it very well. If you've done good preparation, you can say, guys, out of 4, these are not too good. But the next 2 are similar. But among the similar, 1 is only correct. And that's where your knowledge and experience will come up. So coming back to the overview of the CPSM exam 2, some people came and asked me, Krishan, I'm doing purchasing, I'm doing procurement, but they're forgetting around purchasing and procurement has evolved over the time. So many activities have got into this. So in short, when I say exam 2, it spans many disciplines like logistics, forecasting. Many of the procurement people don't do it. But now I can see many big companies, they're also involved in this. So in short, CPSM covers many disciplines and activities providing both internal and external linkages across the supply chain. So from purchasing and procurement, you're becoming a supply chain leader. So in addition to traditional areas like sourcing, international sourcing, supplier relationship management, it covers all operational issues. Operational issues could be the logistics part, inventory management, warehousing, forecasting, qualities, all those will be part of this realm. If you look at the whole syllabus, there are 8 modules in the exam 2: forecasting, logistics, materials and inventory management, organization and development assistance, planning, product and service development when you want to come up with the new products. What is the role of supply management there? Project management. The project management I'm linking up because many of the people I've seen, they do procurement for projects. Like say you're setting up a plant and you are involved in procurement. So procurement is related to a particular project. So this is where the project management comes into the pictures around. But last but not the least is quality. The quality can come, the modality, how you certify your suppliers. If your suppliers are not well certified, the quality could suffer. So if you look at the number of questions which each one gets, the major focus goes to question 26 question goes to organization and department assessment. And the next one is 21 questions for quality. So if these 2 areas you are able to focus a lot, you get 47 questions, and both are very relatively easier compared to many others. So in short, totally, if I look around, you have 165 questions. 15 questions are tryout questions. And those tryout questions, nobody will know which are the tryout. So those tryout, you will never know it. So the only thing is that you have to attempt all the 165. That's why you're given not 2.5 hours, you're given 2 hours, 45 minutes. So let's start with the very first one, forecasting. Now the forecasting has got 19 questions. The very first task, so I'm following the methodology of, you can say, the flashcards. The very first task is current and future analysis of market conditions, benchmark and trends. So you very well know if I'm doing the forecasting for my requirements, for my demand, because you will be looking into demand and supply both. So the demand part comes from the salespeople. They do the forecast. Then you're converting the demand into your supply condition. Now the demand, when we try to work it around, it is affected by economies. Is it a centralized economy? Centralized means they fix the price. Market economy, where the market decides the price. And the closed economy, nothing can be imported easily. We had similar situation if I go back to after the independence of the country. So closed economy, and then the last is mixed one. I would say most of the countries, even the advanced countries, they have a mix around. So there's a government role and there's a market role which decide the prices around. And price decides the demand part. The next issue is the business cycle. Here I would like to clarify, I know most of you have read this book already. So the business cycle when I talk around is every country, every sector, I would say, around goes through the business cycle. Sometimes there is a big demand, then suddenly the demand goes down. So even within our own country, you can see sometimes the real estate was booming, but now it went down. Then there are some sectors which are very well booming, some are going down. There's a cycle for each one. Then the transportation trends also are changing around. So when I say it's a multimodal, we use many modes of transportations. Then there are other issues which affect the forecasting is the leading indicators. If my stock market is going up, job market is going up, it means my economy is going upward. If it's a lagging one, then there's a coincidental indicators, where once I do my economy, it goes side by side. So you may get some question on this, which are the one leading indicators, which are the lagging indicators, which are the coincidental indicators. You may also get question on the market analysis. So until you know the subject market analysis, the market means if I'm a procurement guy, I want to analyze the market. How will I do it? 4 to 5 forces. Whether I'm dominating or the supplier is dominating. Are the new products coming up around? New technology is coming around. Who are my competitors around? Those 5 forces will decide how the market is going to go up or down. My SWOT analysis, benchmarking. And the benchmarking, obviously, I will try to do with the best practices in the market around, best technology in the market around. Now, if everybody is moving to LED, obviously my existing product is waste. I have to follow with the benchmark, how is the market available. So this is where you have to understand those issues. Consideration determine the best sourcing strategy. Now the sourcing strategy, I want each one to remember the 2x2 matrix, which is called Peter-Krausick model. And there we try to teach you which are the one routine items, which are the one leverage item, which are strategic items, and which are the one bottleneck items. And they also become a strategy as well as might become the type of purchases around. Let's get down to the task 2. In this task, we get 7 questions. The types of forecasting. Obviously, forecasting, when we're doing the quantity forecast. I'm going to look around. If I'm in the vehicle business, I'm going to see, okay, how much vehicle I'm going to sell next year? Cost, how is the cost going to go up? If the raw material which is getting into manufacturing of that is going up, if the labor cost is going up, certainly my cost is going to go up. And cost could affect my forecast. Technology can also affect it. I'm making something, but this is becoming obsolete. New technology has come up around. And if the new technology comes, that could also affect my forecast. Supply market. Is the supply shrinking around? If there are few suppliers, it's a monopoly items, then yes, my forecasting could be affected. Economic concepts and terms. We have used PPI concepts. You will find some question with PPI, CPI. I hope every one of you understand this. CPI is Consumer Price Index. PPI is the Production Price Index. So I want to see the trend in the past, how the prices of the market is going up around. Similarly, on the consumer side, how my retail items are going up or down. So those can also affect my forecast around. If my consumer prices are going up and down, my retail items are going up, my budget is limited, obviously my power to buy bigger items will be less. So forecast could get affected. Sources of data. Now the data which we get for this, which prices will go up, what is going to be the demand, we get from the government data, we get from the World Bank, we get from the newspaper. Those of you who read Economic Times, Financial News, you get a lot of information on that there itself. Coming back to the next is the forecasting methodology. The methodology could be a short-term. Short-term mean which is only for a year. Long-term mean it is more than a year. It could be at the macro level or it could be at the micro level. The methodology procedure which are used is the Delphi methods, where we have few experts, consultants, they sit together. Based on their knowledge, we say, guys, what is going to be the future of the market? Then there's a time series. Time series means we look at the historical data and try to come up with this. But I would say in the today's world, when the technology is changing too fast, time series may not be the right answer sometimes. Now, the factor which could affect the forecast could be if there's a war, there's a disaster, or something happens around which could affect the whole forecast. You might have done a wonderful, but suddenly big rain happens, earthquake happens, the forecast could be affected around. The last one issue is the measure of forecast accuracy. We do forecast, and let's be very honest, forecasts are supposed to be wrong. But then how much wrong it is going to be there? So there's a standard, basically error. How much is the error in this around? So we have to see how good quality of forecast we do around, and then based on that we try to find the error. The task 3, which I could talk about forecasting, manage the forecasted data with supplier. I have got the forecasted data now. Now the business forecasting models, obviously I told you the leading indicators. What are the new orders coming around in the market? How is the money supply around? How is the stock prices going up? Inventory levels. These are my indicators. And these indicators helps me a lot to move further. But keep in mind, confidentiality, whenever you're dealing with anything supplier, any information they share with you, if you want to build a good trust, information should not be passed on. It should be kept confidential until you're authorized to share. Supplier Managed Inventory. This is also to keep the stock level meaningful. So what we do is we expect the suppliers to come and maintain the inventory at our place. And then whenever it has to be replenished, it is their job around. So that way your inventory level is also lower. Product life cycle, it counts a lot in forecasting. Let's say if I've done a product which was developed 5 years back or 6 years back, and now it is already in the maturity stage or the declining stage, my forecast could fail. So my forecast could work very well in the growth period, but when it comes to maturity period or the declining phase, the forecast could have errors. So you may have to apply various factors to cover these gaps around. The next is information exchange. Because forecasting, you're not doing in an isolated room around. You're trying to collect information from your retailers, from your customers, from your wholesalers, from your market. So when you want to do this, you have to develop an exchange. How do I get the information? And that information will help you to improve the quality of your forecaster. So this is what I've covered on the first module, that is the forecasting. Now, same way I want to cover all the 8 modules. So my focus in this next 1 hour, maybe a little more time, to give you the concept behind each and every task. So later on, what we can do is, you could ask me the relevant question. If you're not understood anything, I'll be very happy to answer. So I will be very happy if you leave today's session after this and you understood the whole thing. I'll be very happy of that. Now here we're talking about logistic facility layout. The 4 questions comes into that. Consideration for location. Again, to me, it's a very common sense. If I'm trying to put up my warehouse, I will look at the cost, the land cost, the labor cost, transportation cost. So all those factors will decide where should I put my big warehouse around. Next comes the layout part around. If I got a warehouse, what type of layout I should have? One is I could build out and build up. Up means I'm going on the vertical floor. And build out means I'm going horizontally. I will go vertically when I find there's a land shortage around, the land price is too high, I can't afford it, then I'll certainly go build up. But if I got enough land, I may like to go spread myself, build out. Then again comes the docks also. Should I have a single dock? Should I have a double dock? The single dock means the same place I'm using for receiving and shipping. Double means one is for receiving, one is for shipping. So I think it's again very clear. Single I will use when I'm having a small company, and the double I will use when my company is much bigger. Next one is virtual versus real warehouse. So when I say real warehouse, mean is more of a brick and mortar type. Virtual does not mean there's no inventory at all. Inventory is there, but somebody else is maintaining the inventory on your behalf. You see all the time on the e-commerce business. So they are more of a virtual type. Next comes the logistics performance measure. Now, having logistics, how do I measure the performance part? Some of the key I would say around the cost per unit. Normally we say in India the logistic cost is 15 to 20%. But what is cost per unit around? The next is inventory turnaround. So turnaround could be 1 month, could be 7 days, could be 1 year, could be 6 months. The longer the period, that means your inventory is stuck there. And inventory is nothing but money. And you're paying interest on top of it. So keep that factor in mind. Every company is trying to become just in time, to make inventory much leaner and leaner. The next issue is about third-party logistics and fourth-party logistics. Nowadays, many companies, they feel this is not my cup of tea to get into logistics. My job is to make the product. Let somebody else do my logistic part. Somebody else have warehouse. Somebody else take care of transportation. So basically, one or more services are provided by somebody. And that's what we call 3PL. The next is 4PL. So 4PL is the one I've got multiple. I'm working in a company, I've got 20, 30 3PL. I want to manage them. To manage them, I have got a 4PL. So the 4PL is basically to manage them. And this subject is becoming very popular in India today. Many companies are moving into this direction. Next comes the process improvement part. You want to improve the process. Guys, this is very slow. I think here we come down to the Japanese 5S. Sort your things. Set your things. Shine. Make it very clear, clean. Housekeeping has to be good. Standardize your thing and sustain, then maintain it on a regular basis. Logistic task 2, if I look around, or you could call the next competency is the flow and consolidation of material. Now we got different modalities of transportation. Could be by rail, could be by train, could be by air, could be by sea, could be by pipe. But which one to select for which one? If I'm doing a bulk items, I may use a train, which works out to be economical. If I want to use some items which are prone to get spoiled during the weather, I may try to send it by air. If it is a crude oil or something, gas, I may try to move through the pipe. So different selections on different model. Freight classification and rates. Normally we have line haul. The line haul is nothing but between the major cities. The rates are fixed, but the rates could be negotiated. So even in spite of they tell you, oh, this is a fixed rate, this could be negotiated. Task 3, if I look around under logistics, manage logistics. There are 5 questions you will get in this. Modes of transportation and impacts, the way I explained you earlier. Role of shipping company and others. Incoterms. You will find 1 or 2 questions relating to Incoterms 2010. I hope everybody understands these are international commerce terms. They are used both for domestic, although the name is international, but they are used for domestic and international shipment. And there are 11 terms, and each one has got different, you can say the role, liability clause, whatever you may call it. The next is hazardous and regulated materials. Now there are some material when you're transporting, could be explosives, could be gas, could be poisons, could be acidic. So those things, there are some laws, how to transport them, how to store them. So you have to ensure compliance with that. Security considerations, which is very important around on the way somebody could steal the things around. import-export documentation. In logistics, when you're shipping on a global basis, you need to understand what documents are required for import and what documents are required for export. Since you are dealing with import, most of you, I think you need to know what documents are required. So some question, you'll find one question on this, then tell you out of this one, which is the one not relevant for import. And the question also will be very tricky. They'll say, which one is not relevant for this? Except these are the questions you will find sometime. The task 4, manage the delivery problems. The delivery problem means there could be a loss, there could be damage. My shipment is coming from X country to my country. On the way, there was a typhoon. The ship got overturned. Your container went into the sea. It's totally lost. Or sometime on the way, it has got damaged. So how do we manage this around? The 5 questions are there. The freight terms you have to understand. The tracking systems, how do I track it? Through RFID, through barcodes, and all these things around. People are not going into the IoT also. So IoT also, I can, sitting at one place, I can see how my things are going in terms of, if I'm particularly temperature sensitive, humidity sensitive, I can control them. I can check from remote. Delivery performance measures, visible and latent damage. Some are visible. You get the goods, or you can say, guys, the box is damaged. Inside is damaged. You make a claim. So before it is unloaded, after unloaded, you get it signed there itself. But then there are latent damages. Sometimes the damage could be internal. Outside casting looks okay, but there might be fine minor crack inside. So that's the hidden damages around. So one has to make a claim for that. Freight claims, then reverse logistics. This has become very popular nowadays, I would say, particularly e-commerce business. The goods are sent to the customer. Customer says, I'm not happy. It goes back. How do you handle this? So those delivery problem of reverse logistics, how to mitigate the cost of yours. The next one is materials and inventory management. So this is the third module, you can say. Task 1 in this one is materials/service standardization. Now this you will get around 6 questions. First thing is standardization, which is very important around. If you're buying wide range of nuts, bolts, screws, various type of items around, you've got too many varieties. So try to come with the common specs. Reduction of varieties around. If you can cut down your varieties, it will lead to saving of money. The sources of standards, you could use ASTM, ISO, again FDA, OSHA on security. If I look around, health, if I look around, OSHA standards, DIN standard, British standards, even Indian standard, ISI. So you have wide range of standards around. So standards could help you to standardize items. And then your job is to ensure, can I cut down the varieties around? So that way your inventory management becomes much better. Task 2, the warehouse and inventory management system. Now here we're talking system. So 4 questions. How do I do physical tracking? I've got a big inventory. I'm dealing with 500,000 items. Then I need certainly a management system, warehousing management system. I want to track how many pieces I have got of this one. So the WMS can help you. But I want to track also. Then I can use RFID. I can use barcodes. So the physical tracking, if it is lying in the inventories, I can check it. If it is during the transportation, I can use the RFID barcode to see how many pieces are coming out. Customer requirements. So when it comes to the, again, selection of a system, you have to see what exactly is your needs and how much it will cost you. The technologies, a wide range of technologies are coming for WMS. What type of technology you want? You want a real-time technologies, adjusted database type? Inventory accuracy is around what accuracy the system gives you. Errors are there. I've seen many places around inventory accuracies around. I know one company was doing around inventory audit. They used to take a month from one end to another end. And by the time, all data have changed. Later on, they came with the drone concepts, put down RFID, and they could finish within 24 hours the whole inventory checkup. And obviously, accuracy improved, become better. The next thing one has to all the time look around is the business continuity plan. The business continuity plan means you basically want my inventory is there in place. Some of the items are very critical. You don't want them to become zero level and then you find the whole production has come to a standstill. So this is where the business continuity plan, one needs to look around cycle counting. You've got wide range of items around. Some are A category, some are B category, some are C category. Now the physical stock taking, certainly when it comes to C items, which are low value items, the number wise may be very high. You may like to do once a year. But the item which are A type, you want to do maybe monthly, maybe shorter, even less than that. The B type item, you may like to do quarterly. So depending on the cost, based on the ABC analysis, you could decide whether the inventory checking would be done, the counting would be done monthly, quarterly, or annually. The task 3, monitor the movement of assets. You have assets. Each organization has assets around. Now, if I look asset is a broad term from the finance angle, there's a current assets. Current asset is got a cash also. Fixed asset. You got the building, you got the machinery, intangible assets. There are intangible assets also. Your brand is an asset. In the market, it has a name. It's also an asset. Investment asset. Sometimes you put your money into some other venture, hoping that this money will multiply. That's also an asset. Then each one of them has a tax policies around. Which one can be depreciated, which cannot be done. Physical tracking systems. I'm particularly talking about the fixed ones. You have machinery, you have furnitures, you want to track them. I remember the good old days when we used to have 10 chairs, then each chair has to be given a code number. And if you move the chair from one place to another place, you're finding time where the chair has gone. Nowadays, people have come up, guys, this is a low value item, this is high value items. Ignore this, that's what happens around. Types of equipment and assets, and finally the asset management. The next task 4, disposition. You got excess inventories. And that excess inventories could be either there's a surplus, either it's an obsolete, or it has become damaged. It could be anything around. So investment recovery principle is that you are trying to dispose of. Naturally, you want to cover your cost. Value stream mapping. This also helps a lot. It's again a lean manufacturing technique. It can be used for both goods and services. You look from one end to another end. Try to find which is the waste there. Wherever there's a waste, you try to see how I can cut down. So you may get one question on value stream mapping. So my purpose again here it is each one of you to understand the concepts around. Because once the concepts are clear, it will be easier to pass the exam. So the next module is organizational and department assessment. Supply management or procurement, whichever you want to call around, is a function, is a department. Now you want to assess. Now you want to measure the performance part, performance measurement process. You obviously want to cover the individuals, which I know you're covering through KPIs. You want to check your department also, whether department performance is good, and suppliers. So supplier performance is also important to you. Your department performance is also important to you and individuals. What exactly you want to measure it? You want to financially, how much saving you're bringing around. Operationally, what is the lead time? IT part, is the information available on digital basis? Sourcing wise, how is the quality of sourcing? Do you have many choices available? Are you only dealing with one supplier in all the areas? That means one means sole source means there's a risk around it. Relationship matrix, items which are very strategic, high value item. What is the relationship? SRL, KPIs. So the KPIs you could have for your individuals, you could also have for suppliers, but for the department part, you could have balanced scorecard. So the balanced scorecard can help you to understand your department. How does it deal with the objective of the organization, the corporate level? So you'll be looking at the customer, how customer feels about you, internal business processes around, financial and learning perspective as well. The task 2 is about developing performance criteria for the staff. I'm sure you're all used to it. You can easily correlate the subject with your day-to-day life. Each of your staff members gets quantitative and qualitative performance indicators. Quantitative could be how much savings they brought, a cost reduction, how much lead time improvement they brought, how much improvement in the quality they brought. But then qualitative could be how they were with the customers, were they behaving okay, how customer gives their feedback about them, their performance-wise. So there is a combination of quantitative and qualitative. And the sources of feedback, obviously it is 360 degree, could come from supervisors, could come from suppliers, could come from your peers, could also come from your customer inside and outside, both. So both could give you the feedback. That's the way it is there. The task 3 could be the tools and process to measure, report, and improve compliance. So basically what we are looking at the compliance part. So compliance means you might have seen procurement is done, then the audit comes, you didn't follow the process. You deviated from the process. Because each organization has got a procurement guidelines. So there's an audit process. It has to be validated. Validation means if audit could also do errors, so somebody from your department will do the validation, reporting requirements. And if something has gone wrong, how do I do the remediation? Then if I find the most of my procurement team is having this problem on a regular basis, then we need to train them and come up with compliance matrix around. The task 4, resolve issue raised in the SM audit report. Now, when I say the word SM, I'm talking of supplier management around. Again, supply management around. So type of audits, it could be internal audits. The head of the supply management department can say, guys, okay, let me audit my people around, how they're doing. It can also be done by external audit. It can also be done by internal audit of your company. Validation of current policies. You might be finding that my people are deviating it, not complying with, for many good reasons sometimes. That means the policy which we have come up may not be relevant today. They were designed 10 years back. So that means those validation part, you could give a feedback, audit schedules and reports part. Okay, the next module is about planning. Here the task 1 is utilize the requirements planning. Planning is a key tool for any supply management function, and certainly for procurement. So supply management, I'm looking at the bigger picture of procurement. So utilize the requirement planning. It could, I'm calling it XRP. X could be MRP, MRP1, MRP2, ERP1, ERP2, DRP1, DRP2. I'm sure you have already read this, but let me again try to clarify. So when I say MRP1, which was the very first one that came in 1970s around, material requirement planning. If something has to be made, there's a bill of material. I have the stock. My MRP will help me up how much I have to procure more. When should I schedule it? and how much inventory I should have it around. So MRP was basically requirement plan. Later on, this role was expanded, guys. It doesn't help me until I know whether I've got the funds or not. I've done hypothetically on my requirement planning, but do I have the funds? I'm doing the scheduling, but do I have the machines? Do I have the people? So then it came with MRP2. So it became, instead of requirement planning, it became resources planning. So R became resources. Resources could be money. Resources could be equipment. So it basically expanded the role around. Similarly, when ERP came up, I'm sure all of you are using ERP. So ERP, the purpose was to integrate all the business processes around, avoid duplication. If I'm dealing with the one supplier, finance is paying them. So in the process, we don't avoid the duplication. Everybody knows everything what's happening around. So it integrates all the business process, integrates all the enterprise processes around. But again, ERP is still within the domain of the company, within the enterprise. So ERP2, as you have all heard about nowadays, CRM, SRM. So SRM has to be connected to ERP. CRM is also have to be connected. So when you expand the role of ERP going outward, inside out, then ERP2 is the one around. Similarly, for distribution, we have got DRP, distribution resource planning around. That's the way around. Next comes, you all know, no IT system is lifetime. Changes are happening around. After 5 years, 10 years, they'll say, guys, sorry, we can't give you any support. So in that case, this guy, okay, we'll give you another 1 year. After that, we'll not be able to provide support because the lifetime is over. So you have to come up with methodology to develop, maintain, and replace the information system. That's what we call SDLC. The next task, again in the planning, since you're planning it, monitor the forecasting, operation planning, scheduling, inventory control functions. So you're based on the forecast, you're doing the operation plans, you're doing the scheduling of people and the men and machine both, inventory control functions, how much stock has to be there. And then based on that, under that, you'll be looking at the replenishment part. So the methodology for A item would be different, for B item would be different, for C item would be different. If I'm doing scheduling or I'm doing operation planning, for C item, I'll say, guy, buy it for 3 months. It's a low value item. For A items, it's cost a lot. I like to keep a planning for 2 weeks, 1 week, depending on the company to company, depending on the product. Scheduling processes. Again, they will depend on whether it's A and B and C category. Capacity utilization technique. You got wide range of the people, staff, and the machines, and all those things. How do we utilize fully best the use of them? The next one we are going to take about is product and service development. Now, the product and service development means, as we saw in the previous one, each product has a life cycle. And particularly when I look at the electronic item, whether it's mobile phones, anything that's electronic, even the vehicles, life is very short. If I go for the mobile phone, the life is 6 months. Every 6 months, you're trying to come up with a new product. Vehicles, every year you're coming with the new models. So that means you have to come up with a new product. In the good old days, if you look around, somebody sitting in a room will do the design, they will pass on the design to production. Production will say, sorry guys, we don't agree with this. Can you change this? This is very costly to make it. Then we pass on to the supplier. Supplier comes with their own feedback. And we were going back and forth. And that's where the concept has come up around concurrent engineering, putting all people together. And if you look around, the supplier role has become much more relevant today because we have moved from vertical pyramids to horizontal movements around. More and more outsourcing. Look around any companies today. Outsourcing is very common. So if 60 to 70% of my sales budget is coming through outsourcing, through procurement, that means the role of procurement, the role of supply managers has become very important. So that means we have to take into account what supplier feels about it. So in that sense, I would say supply managers plays a key role in the new product development. So it's not an isolated function that you do in one side and give it to the supply manager. Go and get it made. No. At the end of the day, supplier has a big role to play. The need analysis. You might have given a beautiful design on paper, but when it comes to manufacturing, it's difficult. Cost goes up. So in that situation, supply manager, along with the help of the supplier, can analyze the need of the customer and come with a better solution sometime. So this is how they play a key role in product and service development. Task 2, manage the ramp-up strategies. Somebody has come with a new product. Yes, wonderful. But now who's going to do the ramp-up? Supply manager. Look at a company like Apple. The new model comes up. Who are the key players? Supply managers, like you people. They are the one ramping it up. The designer has made his own few ideas around, but finally there's a supplier who's going to provide the right input into this. How to do this faster? The key factors, obviously you have to project the sales first, staff requirements, operating capacity, whether I can really do it or not. My management wants me to come up with a new model in 2 months. Designer has given me in 1 week in a very sketchy way. Now I have to get the input from the suppliers to make the product. Because assembly is totally outsourced. Products are also outsourced. It's only the broad design has been developed by us. Supply chain readiness, lead time, I have to cut down. Again, the role of supply manager. The inventory planning also, if I get a good supplier whose turnaround time, whose lead time is less, my inventory will be less. If my supplier is very remote, I may have to keep a more inventory around. So again, supply manager plays a key role in developing cut down the lead time, to cut down the inventory part, and to make it supply chain readiness. The next one is about the project management. Some of you might be again wondering, what is project management to do with supply management? If you're dealing with if you're talking of a big infrastructure, whether it's real estate infrastructures, whether you're talking around big plant, you're trying to set up oil and gas plant around, 70 to 80% is all about supply management. If 70 to 80% is all about supply management, but as it is falling under the project, so you're following the project guidelines to complete your procurement supply management functions. So the task 1 and this one is project management activity relating to supply management. The first is obviously the project initiation. You have been made in charge. Somebody is the project manager, but you're the one dealing with supply management. And supply management is creating you're setting up a turnkey project. Scope has to be looked. In the scope, you would like to see what are the items which I have to think of buying. What are the alternatives available? What are the risks available? Then you will try to make the project planning stage, the work breakdown, prepare the schedule for each one. So in the case of project execution, you'll be getting the bids. You'll be selecting the supplier. Project monitoring and control, you'll be doing the contract management. Again, falls under that. Project closer is a closeout contract closer. So basically the same function which you're doing today, but they fall under the project terminologies because everything is time bound. The task 2, when we look under the project management, is continuous improvement process around within the supply chain. The very improvement comes around in the benchmarking. You always try to benchmark with the best. In the schools also you benchmark with the best student in the class, or best student in the country. So you are trying to do the benchmarking with global company who are competing with you, or your company which are, supplier which are within the countries itself, process mapping, value stream mapping. So the process is also drawn, and the value stream mapping, as I said in the beginning, is nothing but trying to find from one end to another end, what is the waste. If there are too many speed breakers from one end to another end, things are not moving smoothly. Those are the waste of things around. Or in some places, the production is piling up, while the other machine is still waiting for the products. So those waste has to be cut down. And that's what we call the value stream mapping. Process improvement matrix has to be done. The matrix will be obviously the lead time, cycle time, cost reductions, supplier workshops. I think this is another source of information where you try to get from the supplier, potential supplier, can you help us? Maybe they give you wonderful ideas around in terms of materials, in terms of processes, process improvement matrix around. So the improvement matrix is efficiency, productivity, cycle time. That's what we look at it. Coming back to the quality. Now the quality is also a lot of questions in that you'll get in the exams. First thing is develop supplier certification program. Now some of you might be thinking, what is supplier certification related to around? Now supplier certification, when I look around, is each one of you have, when you select the supplier, you have your evaluation system. So the process for evaluating the quality system of suppliers, today you might be looking at the company's capacity, managerial capacity, the financial capacity, their products are conforming to standards or not. You look at a very broad way. But again, if you really go into the depth of it, it goes much more than that. One is approved suppliers. Somebody sends me the details of the companies based on our format. I say, guys, this company seems to be good. I approve the supplier. Approving is one thing, but doesn't mean they get the business. Preferred means I've given them some business. They've done a good job. They become preferred. Partner means we have become partner together. And certified suppliers, in the sense, the company is certified by us. That you can say the quality norms comply with their norms. I could easily get their products into our company without re-inspecting it. Think a little broadly on this. We think of a JIT. If I get the products and if I want just in time of 1 hour or 2 hours, the products are coming, and then my inspection is checking it, and they reject half of them, my GIT will fail. So basically, we are looking for those companies which are certified, those suppliers which are certified, and once they are certified, that means their quality norms are exactly like the way I want in my own company. So their products can come straight, go to the production, it can be used as it is. And that's what the wording is, congruence of test methodologies. So our test methodology versus my supplier, they are in congruence. Statistical process controls. So they also have to give us their input. Guys, how are you maintaining qualities? Obviously, there will be ups and downs. Each part may not be exact replica of the previous one. There is a deviation. But are they using statistical process controls? Within what range they are falling around? Are they falling with the 6 sigmas? So if it is within that, how many defects are allowed around? So that's the way we look at it. Task 2 of the quality, continuous quality improvements. Because the quality norms are changing. You did the quality certification, but now your norms are becoming much more stringent. You want to excel in quality. The moment you want to excel in quality, you want to measure the quality performance around. The next one is quality assurance. How do I assure one piece and other piece is exactly similar? You might have seen many companies, they show you a wonderful sample. When you give an order, actual piece which comes in the order is totally different than what sample was shown to you. So the quality assurance which could come through ISO 9000 and this, that means whatever you are getting the product, good quality, bad quality, if it meets your expectations, others will also meet your expectations. You could also come in with acceptance quality level. The next is quality management part. You're doing the control part, you're doing assurance part, but at the end of the day, you have to manage also. It's not a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing. So you have to manage the quality. That means it calls for planning it, organizing it, controlling it, and last but not the least is improving the qualities around. I'm sure as you see in your day-to-day life also, all the products which were available 20 years back when we expected they were the good product, today we'll say, oh no, they're the worst product around. So quality norms are changing, quality expectations are changing. And how do we do with the quality tools? Histograms are drawn, Pareto charts. If something is failing, why it is happening? The cause and effect diagrams. There are a lot of statistical tools to ensure that we manage the quality properly. The task 3, it talks about developing quality requirements to improve supplier performance. Now, customer requirements are there. Customer has already given you broad specs around. They've given you functional specs. They might have given you design specs also. Then you're looking at service level agreement. I mean, normally we try to do it for all IT services around. We have service level agreement. So in service level agreement, we set the expectations. If I'm getting into contract with Jio or with Airtel or Vodafone guys, we want to have internet connections. Then I expect them that this will not be down more than 1 hour in a whole month. So I'm putting them the level of the service. The level of service could be 80% it will work, 90% you will have the service, 100% you will have the service. The moment I go from 80 to 100, the cost goes up. So you have to draw what is your expectation, because the moment you increase the service level, you want to say, guys, I want 24/7 power supply all the time. Your level is going up. The cost may be more. The cost, the quality, the service. So this is what you have to draw the SLAs. Now, question comes, how do we measure it? Now, at the end of the day, we are getting some services from suppliers, making our final service, final product. Product could be goods, our services. And that services, we are giving it to someone. Now, that service, when we give it to someone who is the customer, their survey is very important to us. Their feedback is very important to us. That's what we do in the measurement part. The next is the legal requirements. Keep in mind, there are legal requirements also. If product is not meeting with expectations, look at the medical items. If it is not having the proper doses, has got spoiled during the transportations, it could have some other consequences around. Supplier capacity and capability part, the quality processes we want around. We want Six Sigma's approach. We want ISO standards, compliance around. Effective preparation strategy. Now, this is what I've covered so far. I would expect that each one of you could take up those critical points which I mentioned around, prepare your own flashcards, because that will help you a lot. And this is what you used to do when you were in the college. You used to have your own flashcard. So before you go for the exam, you used to prepare. So this is what I will expect you to take those points which I put up under each task. If you have understood the concept, great. If not, please look into the professional series. That's the right book to understand the concept part. Again, I would say in the preparation strategy part, before I close up, prepare summary sheets. This is what I'm asking you. Make a list of important terms, definitions, the formulas. I have tried to put down all the points, to be honest. So if you could take those, we will be happy to share. And then try to understand. If you still don't understand, please ask us. We'll be happy to clarify those terms around. Study the review questions in the diagnostic kit. until you are getting 80% score in the diagnostic kit. Because you're doing diagnostic kit test under the comfort zone, then I would say you're not ready for the exams. Check out the My Account. Under the My Account, also you will find the webcasts. We have the webcast. This also will go into the same place. Plus, for each and every module, 8 modules which goes into the exam 2, we also have the webcast of each one. Like on forecasting, you can please go to our system, or you can go to the YouTube, look at our webcast on each of those 8, which will also give you extra input on the each subjects around. Complete the practice exams, I would say, and join the CPSM study group. I know the time left is very short, but if you still feel some peers in your regions can help you, please, that's a smarter way to learn it. Interactive study tools are also available. My training is there on our site. Online competency test, I would say please do it. It's a real mock-up test. It's more closer to your real exam than the diagnostic. E-learning is there. Some issues are there. Content videos, as I told you, YouTube or our own site. WhatsApp group is there. The flashcards. And this is where I want to propose each one of you prepare your own flashcard for each and every sub-competency. So you have the module. Under module, you got task, and each task is a competency. Under that, you got sub-competency. Make a flashcard for that. Well, friend, with this, I want to thank you. I hope and wish you all the best in the exams to come. Thank you, everyone. And we will follow now with some question answers. Please come forward. Thank you.